The Republican leader of the Wisconsin State Senate has said that Obama's cronies through Chicago are conspiring with the 14 Senate Democrats who refuse to show up for work in the Wisconsin Senate because they may actually lose a vote. And we know Democrats aren't allowed to lose a vote. And the reason why the Obama White House, through the cronies in Chicago, are working with the Democrats to stay away is so they can get their recall efforts underway against the Wisconsin Senate Republicans. Now, if this is all true, the bigger picture is this, folks. Obama needs Wisconsin, he needs Ohio, he needs some of these states if he wants to remain president in the next election. He needs public sector union cash. If members of these unions are free not to contribute to candidates, if they are free not to be members of these unions, which is included in this reform bill, then they'll actually be able to keep more of their money rather than giving it to Obama's presidential campaign. Remember, Obama has committed to raising $1 billion to run for office. He needs this cash. It's the primary source of his money, if not the second biggest source, union money. That's why the White House is involved in this fight. Through the back door, through the front door, through the window, what have you. That's why the Democrats, in part, are staying away from the Wisconsin Senate, that is the 14 Senate Democrats. This bill isn't about the people, working people, better conditions, fair wages, fair benefits. This bill is about funding for the Democrat Party, which is why Scott Walker and Kasich in Ohio and the others need to keep it up. They need to keep fighting collective bargaining for public sector employees. In New Jersey, there isn't such a fight. There are different fights going on. I think I heard Christie say sports collective bargaining. Okay? But in the states where we can get a foot up, it will help deny the Democrats the use, and in essence, the original source of the money is you, the taxpayers, the use of your money for their own elections. You know, this ought to be the new civil rights agenda for we, the people, for we, the taxpayers. We ought to have a new civil rights agenda for us. That politicians cannot pass laws and wash our tax dollars through other entities in order to line their campaign coffers with tons of money. It should be a civil rights issue. Children who are not getting educated in government schools, particularly in the inner cities, particularly minorities, they should be free to go to competing schools rather than be hostages to the National Education Association and the American Federation of Teachers. We have the liberation agenda. We have the people agenda. We have the taxpayers agenda. But our guys don't even talk like this, do they? What are we going to do if they show a closed national park with 3 people trying to get in? How will we respond? Oh, good Lord. Terry Jeffrey, my dear friend at cnsnews.com, a great news site, he writes, in response to questions from cnsnews.com, House Democratic Whip Steny Hoyer and House Republican Majority Leader Eric Cantor made clear this week that the American people should not expect either party to balance the federal budget anytime in the next decade. That's right. Neither House Democrats nor House Republicans plan on balancing the budget in the next decade. And by balancing the budget, from my perspective, I don't mean stealing everything we have in order to pay for big government. Balance the budget, meaning draw down the spending to meet rational revenue levels. Jeffrey writes, as of the close of business on March 7th, according to the Treasury Department, the national debt stood at $14.186 trillion. Since the Census Bureau estimates there are 112,611,029 households in America, this means the federal government has already borrowed almost $126,000 in the name of every American household. So every household, that is every family now, owes $126,000 to the federal government. By the way, that's a low figure. You kick in all these unfunded liabilities, it's massively higher. But Hoyer and Cantor are effectively predicting that this $126,000 per household debt burden will grow larger month after month, year after year, for at least the next 10 years, no matter which party holds the U.S. House of Representatives. I'm not a fan of this Cantor. I'm just being honest. I'm not. They make contradictory statements, and I want to see their actions line up with some of their statements. Mark, we're only one house. Good. Put your best foot forward. Make the case. If you're voted down, you're voted down by the other body. Obama vetoes, he vetoes. So be it. You can't control that. But you can control yourselves. And you can control what you do in the House. You can make the message clear. Get it out. I don't hear anything. Do you hear anything? No. I don't hear anything. Couple more issues before we go to the callers. The Daily Caller. Surprised the new National Public Radio interim CEO is a Democratic political contributor. As you know, anybody named Schiller now has resigned from the hierarchy of National Public Radio, NPR. Jeff Poore over there writes, if NPR is trying to demonstrate in the wake of the video scandal that it embraces a diversity of viewpoints, and is not the left-wing outlet it's been portrayed to be, its first move after the resignation of President and CEO Vivian Schiller isn't a particularly good start. After she announced her resignation on Wednesday, and by the way, I'm told she was fired, the National Public Radio Board of Directors promptly named Joyce Slocum as its interim CEO. According to a statement from NPR, Slocum's appointment was part of a CEO succession plan adopted by the board in 2009. Slocum, however, appears to be just another Democrat, hat tip, Liberty pundits. According to data from the Center for Responsive Politics website, OpenSecrets.org, Slocum has donated $3,480 dating back to 1999, all to Democratic candidates. Oh, yes. This is also why you won't find many Democrats, if any, in Congress who support defunding NPR and forcing NPR to make it on its own. Because NPR, like the NEA, like the AFT, is an appendage of the Democrat Party. NPR is, for the most part, the Democrat Party's voice. That's why the O'Keefe video was so important. Puts a fine point on it. All these institutions, what have I been saying? The Democrat Party and big government are one and the same. They're attached at the hip. They need each other for survival. We, the people, we look at the Constitution and we say, you're too big, you're spending too much, you're doing things you're not supposed to do. They laugh at us. They need big government to survive. They need the law to impose their will. It's not about competition and ideas and private behavior. For them, it's all about an iron fist. And it's hilarious when they say that this reminds them of the Egyptian revolution. By the way, how's that revolution going? Where are all the neoliberals? Remember the International Day of the Woman? It's earlier this week or last week, and a lot of women in Egypt gathered in the square and were molested. Molested. So for Egypt, it was the International Year of the Molested Women. But don't worry, Mark. The Democracy Project, full speed ahead. I think one pundit, I can't remember who it was, called it the Soft Democracy Project. Another one called it the Freedom Project. Well, it's definitely something. I don't know that freedom and democracy are exactly the right words. And one more thing as we move along. See, we like to handle a number of issues at once because the world is a complex place. There's a lot going on. Some of these hosts will spend a whole show on one issue or 1 hour. They've been taught to go by the, all right, 1 hour, one issue. Next hour, next issue. Man, I'm on the move. People have to keep up with me. And you can and you do, and I thank you. Now, Guantanamo Bay. This is for you liberals. I remember when your hero, Barack Hussein Obama, was adamantly insisting that we close Guantanamo Bay. Year after year, he insisted on it. Now he insists through an executive order, very slyly issued, that it stay open. But here's Barack Obama, the first Barack Obama, when he insisted that it stay open. Cut 3, go.
I intend to close Guantanamo, and I will follow through on that. I've said repeatedly that America doesn't torture, and I'm going to make sure that we don't torture. We will close the Guantanamo Bay detention camp and determine how to deal with those who have been held there. It hasn't made us safer. What it has been is a great advertisement for anti-American sentiment.
In dealing with terrorism, we can't lose sight of our values and who we are. That's why I closed Guantanamo.
Indeed, the existence of Guantanamo likely created more terrorists around the world than it ever detained. And the costs of keeping it open far exceed the complications involved in closing it. That's why I argued that it should be closed throughout my campaign, and that is why I ordered it closed within 1 year.
And I have ordered the prison at Guantanamo Bay closed by early next year.
But make no mistake, we will close Guantanamo Prison, which has damaged our national security interests
and become a tremendous recruiting tool for al-Qaeda.
Oh, well, as they used to say on Saturday Night Live, never mind. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. And when I say breaking news, it actually is breaking news. Don't do this breaking news all day long to keep ratings up. But this is breaking news. Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel is reported by Patrick Marley. Madison, Wisconsin. Listen to this. As he writes, a hastily scheduled conference committee stripped out collective bargaining from Governor Scott Walker's budget repair bill and sent it immediately to the Senate, which is expected to act on it tonight, with 14 Senate Democrats still absent. The Senate abruptly sent the budget repair bill today to the Committee of Legislators from both houses at about 4 p.m., and the committee convened at 6, taking quick action. The budget repair bill by Walker would end most collective bargaining for public employees, certain public employees, and has been at a stalemate for 3 weeks because Democrats have boycotted Senate sessions. Those 14 senators have been in Illinois since February 17, denying quorum to majority Republicans. To pass spending measures, 20 senators must be present, but Republicans hold only 19 seats. But Republicans would not need any Democrats to be present to pass the collective bargaining changes as a standalone bill because it's not fiscal in nature. This governor and those Republicans have been trying for 3 weeks to cajole, persuade, what have you, those Democrats to return. They will not. They have tried fining them. They have tried cutting off all their resources. It has not worked. Apparently, the governor even tried negotiating with them at some point, which apparently is the case in some emails. That did not work. Those were leaked. So I think they've had it because now apparently there's an effort underway to recall Senate Republicans. So it appears, I say it appears, based on recent news reports, breaking news from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, that the Milwaukee Senate Republicans have pulled the collective bargaining language out from the appropriations aspect of the bill. They do have a large enough quorum in order to act on that as a standalone bill, and it does appear that that's exactly what they're doing right now. That's what seems to be going down in Madison, Wisconsin. I hope so. Noreen, San Jose, California, the great KSFO. Go.
Hi, Mark. I'm a great fan of yours. I listen to you 5 days a week.
Thank you. What's wrong with the other two?
Well, I already know what you said.
Oh, okay. Forgot. Yes.
Okay. And I am a forced SEIU member, unfortunately.
Yes, I know. So, I'm a forced member of something or other myself.
What I wanted to ask you is when the Obama health care bill was struck down as unconstitutional in Florida, what I want to ask your expertise is why
Go ahead.
Why is it being heard in Georgia? Why is the appeal being filed in Georgia?
It's not. It's because where the circuit court is located. That's the only reason. These circuits cover a number of states, depending on the circuit. Some have more states than others. So that's not unusual at all. That's where it should be filed. All right, Noreen, we'll be right back.